Over. Oh. All right. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed to their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hopes of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. What we now call Portland, Oregon, and Multnomah County were the traditional lands of Multnomah, Caplamit, Clackamas, Cowlitz bands of the Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes who have made their homes along the Columbia River. Today, people from these bands have become part of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, the Confederated Tribes of Silas Indians, as well as the Chinook Nation and Cowlitz Nation in Washington State. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here today. We're just going to take a moment of silence for that. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in that. We're going to begin with our programming. First off, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Chung. I'm a senior at Franklin High School. I've been a part of Passion Impacts for a little over 2 years now. I began just as a club member, and then I launched into PI more in depth with the summer internship, and now I'm a part of the volunteer event program. I use this photo specifically because the girl next to me is Kayla, and she was the CWPI host for last year, so she's kind of my predecessor. A little bit about State of PI. It's an annual event to gather with Passion Impact donors, volunteers, students, board members, and families to reflect on this past year's accomplishments and next year's goals. So whether you're a parent trying to just be more involved and see what your kid is doing when they say, oh, I'm going to go volunteer at Passion Impact, or you're a donor trying to see where your donations are going towards, you're just going to get a chance to get a snapshot of all the different programmings operating within PI, see all of our successes and challenges, learn how to get involved, and also we'll have a raffle at the end. So stay tuned for that. So go ahead and grab something to eat, sit back, and get to know Passion Impact. We're going to get started with our high school programs with our amazing coordinators, Adriana and Kaylee. So I'm going to pass the mic over to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. You can go to the first slides. Thank you. So my name is Adriana. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the high school program manager with Passion Impact. So I've been working with Passion Impact for almost 2 years now. And during that time, I've had the pleasure of working with our high school students in our high school programs. So over the course of 2020 and through 2021, we were able to continue running our high school programs, but with a little bit of a twist. Everything had to go online because of the pandemic. That included our volunteer events, but that didn't stop our students. They just got really creative and were able to continue putting on monthly volunteer and civic engagement events and continue with most of our high school programming. Students at FHS were able to kind of put on events, whether that was blanket making to help students and youth who needed an extra layer of comfort, to creating STEM kits for local elementary students in partnerships with In4All. They were able to really do a lot still while staying at home. And this was a lot of change in itself, but we weren't really done there. In addition, we took on a big undertaking, which was expanding our high school programs. So something that we did is we hosted a winter internship at McDaniel High School at the end of 2020 into 2021. And from there, we were able to complete the internship and move to having more programming at McDaniel High School. From there, and after they were able to put on a successful first event, their Portland Cares event, which Faith will talk about later, we were able to expand our programming and hire Kaylee as our high school program assistant to focus on students at MHS. So with that being said, I'm gonna pass it over to Kaylee to introduce herself.
Thanks, Adriana. Hi, everyone. Like Adriana said, my name is Kaylee. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the high school program assistant here at Passion Impact. A little bit more about me. I recently graduated with my Bachelor's of Science last spring, and I also currently work as a preschool teacher. I've only been at Passion Impact since June, but I am just thrilled to be in this space with all of you and just exceedingly passionate about the work I do in Passion Impact's high school programs. I'm the point for McDaniel High School, so I run McDaniel's VEP and Passion Impact Club. And before I get too ahead of myself with talking about programming, let's jump to the next slide, and then I can chat with you all a bit more about the programs that Adriana and I run at Passion Impact. So we have a bunch of programs at both the schools. So you see we have Franklin and McDaniel High School here at both schools. We have the Passion Impact Club, the volunteer event program, the internship, and the youth learning cohort. And at Franklin, there's also classroom workshops. To give a brief overview of each program, Passion Impact Club is oftentimes the first point of engagement for Passion Impact for high school students. The purpose of the club is to provide students with civic engagement opportunities and awareness without them needing to be involved in the volunteer event program. The volunteer event program is our main high school program. The purpose of it, it's often acronym to VEP. So VEP is to support students in creating and facilitating monthly volunteer and civic engagement events within and for their community. The internship at Passion Impact is a 6-week paid internship experience where students grow into their positions as the leaders of the VEP before the school year starts. During the internship, students are provided the opportunity to develop and strengthen their civic leadership skills and also their social justice knowledge. The youth learning cohort provides students the opportunity to grow as activists and social change agents. It's a 10-week program that covers a variety of social justice topics with workshops from various professionals. It also gives students a platform to put on their own civic engagement events at the end of the program. And then there's also classroom workshops, which are at Franklin. So I'll pass it back to Adriana to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so like Haley said, McDaniel and Franklin do have mostly all of the same programs that she just went over, but there's also classroom workshops at Franklin, which you'll hear in more detail of all of these programs. But in a brief overview, classroom workshops are in collaboration with AVID, and we go into AVID 9, 10, and 12 right now. And we provide different curriculum for the classroom workshops on about a monthly basis. Sometimes we go in 2 times a month, but it's just a way for us to go into the classroom and meet students where they are and engage them a little further on various topics, which I'll talk about here soon. Next slide.
Thank you. So obviously our programs have had to change a bit in response to just staying safe during COVID. At both Franklin and McDaniel, the club and VEP are now in person at the schools, which is really exciting. And the classroom workshops at Franklin are also in person. At the schools, Adriana and I both follow PPS's COVID procedures to ensure student safety and PI staff safety. Just to give you a little more insight to what that looks like, excuse me. At McDaniel, for example, during meetings, the students all maintain social distancing in the classroom. I have to keep a seating chart and turn that into admin after every meeting for contact tracing purposes. We wipe down everything we touched with Clorox wipes before we leave, etc. Right? On the other hand, our summer 2021 internship and the youth learning cohort were both online. Because in both of these programs, we had students from both McDaniel and Franklin attending, online seemed like the most efficient and safe way for us to hold programming while also being flexible with the student schedules. During the summer internship, a lot of the students were out and about or traveling. So we would have some of the students joining us via Zoom meetings, like in their cars in the passenger seat, like heading to a camping trip, which was fun. And then during YLC, we understood the students have a lot like on their plate since everything is moving back to being in person, and that can be a little overwhelming. So we wanted to be considerate of that, and we kept the meetings online. However, the end of program civic engagement event for YLC will be in person. Finally, for our 2022 internship, the program will be hybrid. We decided to make it hybrid because we wanted to keep that flexibility for students and their busy summer schedules, but also wanted to still have that in-person element. Yeah, so that's kind of what we've been doing and will continue to do while adapting to kind of whatever the pandemic throws at us. But I'm just going to hand it once again back to Adriana to chat a little bit more about our biggest program, the volunteer event program.
Perfect, thank you. So before I talk about the VEP, I do just want to give a shout out to Kaylee. We're able to expand and provide programming to MHS because of all of the hard work that Kaylee has done and continues to do. So just want to do a quick shout out, some snaps there. But yes, I do want to highlight our major program, the VEP. We'll have folks talking about it in a few slides, but I'm going to do the kind of boring stuff and talk about the organization of the VEP, and they'll talk about the fun stuff like the events that they get to put on. But like I said, the VEP is our major program. It runs at both McDaniel and Franklin High School. So how it looks is that our volunteer event program, VEP, is that the students are split up in 3 committees. We have the eventers, development, and advertising. The eventers are kind of like the face of the group in the sense of they do a lot of the like more so managerial event management type of stuff. With that, you have development, who will take on a lot of the background things like communicating with the partners or maybe dealing with registrants for the events, sometimes money. And you have the advertising group, advertising committee, who does just that. They do advertising. They'll make their own social media posts or they'll make flyers, and they're kind of the people that help get the word out of the events. So from these 3 committees, 1 to 2 members from each committee will then join a smaller event planning group. In the event planning group, like I said, there's 1 to 2 members from each of the committees. And these event planning groups are then responsible for creating those monthly or quarterly civic engagement and volunteer events that you're going to hear about and you've already heard about now. The students meet every week to put these events on. It's not a small task. They do a lot of work to make these events happen. So I just want to give a lot of recognition to the students for putting in a ton of time to make really cool things happen. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that and highlight them. But like I mentioned before, we're going to break down the high school programs more over the next few slides so you can see some of the fun details. So with that being said, we can go to the next slide because I will be talking about our classroom workshops. Next slide. So our classroom workshops, like previously mentioned, happen at Franklin High School, and they're partnered with the AVID classes at Franklin. With classroom workshops this year, which is super exciting, we're also collaborating internally, and we're working with the ACE program, which is our college program. And we have an ACE student, Allie, who helps me go to Franklin and put on these monthly classroom workshops. So Allie and I go to AVID 9, 10, and 12, and we help put on these workshops that kind of overlap what Passion Impact is all about with what the teachers want in order to supplement students' learning. So every AVID class, it has their own set of curriculum. We don't copy and paste it. We go to the teachers, we meet with them ahead of time. We ask them what kind of curriculum they're going to work with this year. Where is there an overlap with what Passion Impact does? And how can we supplement this and add just an experience in addition to what AVID already has going for them? And so because of this, every grade, like I said, has their own kind of themes that I want to go over very quickly. And so Allie and I are working with AVID 9 right now to do a lot of things around civic engagement versus volunteerism. So what are the similarities and differences, and how do you get involved as a student just coming into high school? Again, AVID 9, they're just going into high school. So a lot of identity development and learning about who they are is really important. So that's kind of a crossover that Passion Impact is able to help aid in when we go into their workshops and go into their classes. And also with AVID 9, a common theme that we find that the teachers are looking for that we're able to provide is doing something kind of like a social justice 101. So an introduction to social justice, whether that's specific topics or a broad range of topics, we're able to help provide that in collaboration with the teacher and sometimes other outside groups to put on workshops with those themes. In AVID 10, they kind of go up. So they talked about civic engagement and volunteerism during a lot in their AVID 9 year. In AVID 10, now we're getting a little bit more specific. So we're able to say, well, what is community? Let's define community. And we're spending a lot of time defining what it means to be in community, what communities you're a part of, and how we're making events that address a community need. From there, we're also working on this topic of fitting in versus belonging. Yes, you've been in high school for a while now. However, what does it mean to fit into a place versus what does it mean to actually belong? And this is also a sneaky way of adding social justice into AVID 9 curriculum, because this theme, fitting in and belonging, is really has to get about inclusivity. And then last with Avid 10 is creating a micro volunteer event, which is really cool because in Avid 11, they actually put on events and we've helped in the past. This year, we're not working with Avid 11 just because the teacher is trying to figure out how to do school again in person after being online for like a year and a half. But in Avid 11, they put on a civic engagement event. And so we in years past and also currently are helping with that. And so in Avid 10, they're going to do a test run and they're going to create a small volunteer event that happens during their class. So that way they kind of get that experience to try something new next year in Avid 11. And finally, when classroom workshops with Avid 12, it's all about what happens after high school. And so one of the really cool topics that we get to talk to them about is a fixed versus growth mindset and imposter syndrome. So putting like a name to this feeling where you maybe feel like you don't belong or you don't know what you're doing or that you're not as good as everyone else, and kind of moving to a mindset of maybe you can't do this thing right now. It's just that you haven't done it yet. Now you can't do it, just this idea of not yet. We also do some more technical stuff. So working with resume building, and also this year the teacher wants to look into some budgeting stuff. So we're going to help kind of connect to groups that do budgeting work. And finally, like I said, kind of Avid 12 is major theme is what's next after high school. And so Passion Impact's vision is that we're going to help students to pursue their vision of a healthier world. And so our theme in their what next is like, what can be next for you so that way you can leave high school and continue creating this healthier world that you're passionate about and you want to be a part of. So those are kind of the themes of our classroom workshops and the work that we do with Avid at Franklin, and kind of like where we're going with this school year. So like I said, we have 3 grades, a total of 4 classes. There's 2 Avid 9 classes. And we're working this year internally to partner with our college program, which you'll hear more about. But that is it for classroom workshops. So I'll pass it back to Jennifer.
All right, thank you, Adriana and Kaylee, for that. So that was just a quick overview of all the things happening with our high school partners. Now we're actually going to dive a little bit deeper into these programs and have students who are participating in them talk a little about them. So first we have our summer internship. Kaylee mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's a paid leadership development program where interns are given the space and resources to build organizational skills and explore various social justice topics. So I want to introduce Stella. She was one of our summer interns this past year, and she's going to speak a little bit about that.
Hi, I'm Stella. Like Jennifer said, I was one of the summer interns last year. I'm also a member of the development committee for the VEP this year, and I was last year as well. So this summer I participated in a 6-week internship with Passion Impact. And at the end, we were prepared to basically lead the VEP groups at Franklin, but we gained so many more skills from that than just getting prepared to lead that. So we did more than just this, but the 3 main things we did were workshops. Different people led each. I know Adriana and Kaylee each led one, but there were other people that weren't part of PI that also led them. We watched and discussed many TED Talks. I think one of my favorite ones was one about like how good leaders are, and I think that I've been thinking about that a lot, and I still apply that to how I am in the classroom and in my sports as well. And then we read Octavia's Brood, which is a social just like a compilation of social justice themed short stories. But for me, the most impactful part of the internship was probably the workshops. I really liked specifically the fitting in versus belonging one, and then the imposterism one. I was actually on vacation for most of the internship, so I was doing these workshops like from the car driving. So I wonder if I would have gotten even more out of them if I hadn't been driving, but I still got so much out of them. And I also really liked reading Octavia's Brood. I think it was good for me to be pushed to read that book because I definitely would not have picked it. Ooh. And then we got to have discussions with our peers about those stories, which was really awesome. I know the other interns especially enjoyed reading the book. That was a common theme. And we also all just found it super productive, and we got really bonded together. It made like our group pretty strong, even though now in VEP, a lot of us are having like scheduling problems, we still have a really strong cohort, and that's nice to just have those people that even though we were online for 6 weeks, not even really together. But just the internship was a great way for us to, get to know each other and learn about each other. We were able to carry that bonding over to a pretty successful event in the fall where we did a menstrual hygiene products drive, and then we had people volunteer to come package them up and put them in different places around our school. And just being a student, like I saw how people were really using the products that we placed. And so that was really awesome to see. And I think that part of our success around that was because we got to know each other so well, and that even though there were some issues with people having sports practices and not being able to go to meetings, we had such a tight bond that it ended up being really good. I definitely gained a lot of hard and soft skills from the internship. Some hard skills that I've been actually using a lot include conversation facilitation. So we had to lead one short meeting per, like all of us had to lead one. And we also just had to get good at conversation throughout the whole internship. And also resume writing. I actually have used that a couple times to apply for things and stuff like that. The soft skills have been a little harder to determine because I don't know if I was already on the journey to developing them or if I really only learned them in the internship, but I do know for sure that my leadership skills were greatly improved throughout the internship. And that wasn't anything that anyone told me to do. It was just that the internship is so greatly designed, so you're forced into that. Not forced, you're pushed into that. And I don't know, it was a really, really positive experience for me. It was just a good way to just keep thinking. I know sometimes in the summer everyone gets a little bit like tired or just kind of stops like putting their mind to something, and it was a really good way to do that. And it really set us up for success in VEP this fall, which is really exciting because we had a great event, which is probably my most successful event yet. So that was awesome. I don't know. That's kind of all I have for the internship.
All right, thank you so much, Stella. It's kind of funny to hear that you guys really enjoyed reading because I was an intern the year before and I think I really struggled with trying to read the book. But yeah, the summer internship is just like a great opportunity to build those like foundational leadership skills that you're going to use in your everyday life. If you're a student watching this or you're like a community member with a student attending Franklin or McDaniel, I strongly encourage you to consider applying. Applications are usually open in late spring, I believe. So yeah, and now I want to introduce another previous intern, Faith. Faith was a winter intern last year representing McDaniel High School, and she's going to be sharing McDaniel VEP's progress these past few months.
Hello, well, my name is Faith Sapor, and I am McDaniel High School senior. And so first I'm going to explain the first event that we've had. So the first event we had with Passion Impact at McDaniel was the Portland Cares event, and it was all planned over the winter internship. And that was like my first exposure to the whole Passion Impact group. So it was like a really new experience for me. We did the fundraising and all of the planning for the event. We came up with the idea for the event in like December, because the internship started in November, and we came up with the idea around like December, and then we just started planning everything out. We had spreadsheets for the budgeting, and it was a really productive experience. All of the bags got donated to Providence Hospital. We made about 200 gift bags. They were filled with Gatorade, chocolate. They had little notes in them from students. There was a micro event that we had that students from the school would write letters to healthcare workers, and we would cut them out, and then we put them all in the bags at the event in April of 2021. And then the event was a 2-day event. So most of the volunteers came the first day, and then some of them came the second day. So all of them were completed within the 2 days. And then that same or couple weeks or 1 week after that, we donated all of the bags to the hospital. And so that really just kicked off everything at Passion Impact. And so far in the volunteer event program, we had our first club meeting in November, but we had our volunteer event program meetings online before that. And in the club, we have recruited 9 new members and we played charades. And it was really good to get everyone comfortable with each other. And we introduced the Coat Drive event with the new members, and it's going to be in collaboration with the Sun School. So we're not sure exactly when it's going to be, but we're planning for it to be soon. So we're now holding the weekly VEP meetings and the club meetings in person at Daniel. And at our most recent VEP meeting, we brainstormed a micro event that we could put on before winter break. And we were thinking it would be a winter themed event. So we were like, maybe we should do something like an ornament painting or something that we could use to donate to a nonprofit organization. So we would have students buy an ornament to paint, and then they would be writing letters to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So each letter that's written to the Make-A-Wish Foundation donates money. So yeah, that would be like an event that could really bring the community together and also do good. So yeah, that's basically all I got.
Thank you, Faith. I know that VEP is still fairly new at McDaniel, so it's really exciting to see all the progress that's been happening so far.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm going to introduce my peer Calder. Calder has been a part of the Franklin side of VEP for about 2 years now in the advertising committee, and he's going to be sharing our work thus far in the school year. Take it away, Calder.
Hello, my name is Calder. I go by he, him pronouns. And so far in the VP this year, we've done a lot of we've gotten a lot of reproductive work done. I remember last year it was all online, which made it sort of difficult to get things done. But this year, since it's more in person, I feel like we have a lot more time to sort of connect and get some real, I guess not any more real work than we did last year, but we have been getting a lot of work done. The first event that we did this year, like Stella mentioned, was the period product, packaging and drive, where students would package period products, put them in bathrooms, and they were free for everybody. It was great. And that was one thing that was super good that we did for the community. The next event, our October event, was one that I helped work on. It was a fundraiser for Shriners Children's Hospital, where out in the front of the school we had a desk with some pumpkins on it, and students could purchase a pumpkin, go up to the room that we have the VEP meetings in, and paint it. And the proceeds from buying the pumpkins would go directly to Shriners Children's Hospital. And this event was really fun because I like to do art personally, and I know a lot of people that also like to do art. And doing art is just such a fun way to get the community together, and everybody's been so creative. You see this picture of Duncan, he's got a big old face on his pumpkin, it's great, it's tons of fun. And the most recent event that we did, this was just last week. This was a campus cleanup event, which was super helpful because the custodial staff at Franklin is very overworked. I feel teachers have talked a lot about there not being enough custodial staff, and they just don't, they've got their work cut out for them. So we definitely, we helped clean up. We went around the campus. We had over 30 students, and we collected 12 bags of trash, 12 of these big plastic bags, and just got a bunch of stuff off the campus. And that was just really helpful. And also fun. Cleaning up trash doesn't sound fun, but when it's with a bunch of a huge group of people that you really enjoy being around and really respect, it's really just not a big deal. It was super great. and yeah, right now we're split up into some new larger groups to plan for some larger events in I believe January and February, um, because right now the youth learning cohort is creating the December event. And yeah, my experience in the VEP so far has just been like super great this year. We've gotten a ton of work done, and it's just super great environment to be at Franklin.
Yeah, thank you, Calder. I just wanted to add a bit for myself. What I love about VEP so much is that it's really an opportunity for students to grow as leaders. So for the October pumpkin event, Calder and I were kind of like the veterans in our group, since like we had been in VEP the year before, but the majority of our group mates were like all new members. So it was like the first time they were like new into it. We had a really difficult time like actually trying to get the pumpkins. Places were either just like not willing to donate, or their donation process was like really lengthy and complicated. But just like seeing how resilient and persevering the new members were, it was just really amazing. Like they persisted with pursuing all these donations, and in the end we put on a successful event. So kudos to them, and kudos to all of our VEP members. Good job, guys. Next up, we have our youth learning cohort, presented by Calder again alongside Desiree.
Hello, my name is Desiree Freeman, and I'm a student at Porter Community College, getting my degree in Family and Human Services. And I'm doing my internship and field experience as an advocate for community engagement for Passion Impact. I just want to thank the Passion Impact for giving me this opportunity to practice my field experience. This experience has been great. My field experience with the youth learning cohort has been very educational, and it's things that I can use. All workshops and presentations are things I can use in my human services field. The youth learning cohort is a 10-week course where high school students learn about different social justice issues. The students participated in 5 youth learning cohort workshops in order to gain knowledge and grasp mentally some of these social justice issues. And here are some of the topics that we presented on: Social Justice 101, Disability Justice, Environmental Justice, Equity, Inequality, and Inclusion, LGBTQ, Gender, Sexuality, Mental Health, Prejudice, Stereotypes, Biases, Prison Industrial Complex, Race and the Model Minority Myth. Some of the workshops attended: Disability Justice 101 with Youth Celebrate Diversity, Environmental Justice with Solve, and Solve is Sustaining Oregon's Legacy by Volunteering. Mental Health Awareness, the National Alliance of Mental Illness by Monoma County. School to Prison Pipeline and Mass Incarceration with Michael Stevenson, and the Model Minority Myth with Apano. I gave a presentation on environmental justice, and while I was researching for my presentation, I found several resources that would help me with my clients out in the field here with environmental concerns. Now I know how to go through and find out how to get help and lawyers for people that has concerns for environmental justice. This presentation gave me great resources on how to help the BIPOC or marginalized communities. All workshops that serve as a purpose in my field experience with the Passion Impact. And I just started in September. So I have a lot of, I'm excited. I'm excited about continuing. And thank you very much.
All right. And with all of that information that we're gathering from all of the workshops and all the topics that we're covering, all that information is culminating into a civic engagement event that, like I mentioned earlier, we are planning for December. So we have the cohort lasts 10 weeks. We have 7 members planning the event, and we're planning 1 event in December. So it's a bit of a larger group. During the VEP, normally groups are around like maybe 5 people on average. And this is generally a few more. The screenshot is from one of the meetings where we planned a bit of the event. But yeah, the topic of our event is going to be a houselessness, like spreading awareness, civic engagement event at the Passion Impact office. Students will come in and they will learn about just like houselessness in general and like gain more of an insight as to like how life is like that and like how you can treat those people a little bit better and talk about them and do more justice to the situation that they're in. And so far we're making great progress on the event. We've got, I'm pretty sure we have an organization picked out to give our presentation. And at this point, we kind of just have to gather materials and set some dates and then we're good to go. But yeah, gaining all this information and like being able to like, just for me personally, sort of just like educate myself more on social justice topics, like people and that has been like super valuable for me personally. And I would highly recommend the youth learning cohort. It's super fun. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Desiree and Calder, for that. So keep an eye out on the civic engagement event coming in December. For our last high school program, we have the Student Advisory Board. It was created this year by our student leaders, Annabelle and Duncan, and they'll be presenting it alongside Lisa.
Hi everyone, my name is Annabelle Jukla. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the eventers leader within the Passion Impact VEP, as well as one of the founding student leaders with the Student Advisory Board. And so right now I'm just going to share about what SAB is. That's our acronym for Student Advisory Board. And basically our main goal within our group is to just infiltrate student perspective into every facet that Passion Impact has, from the ACE program to the board of directors to VEP and even within the club, making sure that youth voices and perspective are always being valued and really prioritized within our nonprofit. And so our kind of mission statement here is that the Student Advisory Board is a student-led group within Passion Impact working to advise the board of directors, elevating youth voices within the organization. We do this by meeting with one another, discussing student needs and priorities, and bringing that viewpoint to PI leadership. And so basically the way that we're going to function is that we're going to be directly working with the board of directors, which is all adult led, and making sure that we're working hand in hand with them to provide student perspective to every decision that they make for the nonprofit. And so here is some data that we've put together from the Passion Impact cultural audit. And it's here is that 29.7% of Passion Impact is the board of directors, and that 77% of PI members are, sorry, my screen is letting me see, are people under the age of 25. And so the Student Advisory Board is going to be all filled with people that are under 25. And so it's just kind of highlighting here how big of a population we hold at Passion Impact, and that we really want that that we really want that to translate into our leadership. And so I will now pass it on to Lisa, who is another one of our student leaders, to share about what the Student Advisory Board has done so far.
Thank you, Annabelle. In addition to being one of the founding leaders, I am also a Passion Impact alumnus. So what we have done is we have created a student advisory board briefing guide, and which is a document that includes the way we work with in the student advisory board. This includes the duration of the terms that we have that we fixed, includes the general membership procedure, also a junior membership, which is kind of like a preliminary period for any students who's interested. We also have leadership position with corresponding expectation for all. We also implemented a temporary pause procedure policy, and which also includes boarding process. And also we have a process for removal in our briefing guide. In addition, we created an SEB voting rights policy, and this is what will allow future student advisory board representative to obtain voting rights on the board of directors. We have also implemented our recruitment strategies for prospective members and leaders. In regards to finances, we have formed some budgets, we created some incentives for students, and have brainstormed on some possible foundation to receive grants or funds. And now I will pass it over to Doug.
Hey, wait, next slide. My name is Duncan. I am the one and only advertising lead at Passion Impact. Some people call me the chancellor of the advertising committee. Those people, I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but they do have their opinions. And I am going to be talking about what SAB's plan is for the coming years and for this year. Annabelle, everybody calls me that, and they're very important and very smart people that call me that. Anyway, so what we believe to our core is that the communities that Passion Impact works with and the communities that work in Passion Impact should have like a direct line of contact with the board and should be able to participate no matter their age, no matter like if they're a student or if they're not a student, they should be able to participate in the choices that Passion Impact makes in budgeting, in basically any choice, because we believe that that will make us more connected to our community. And the big thing that we're doing this year is mainly just making sure that the SAB is kind of like a core structure within Passion Impact, and trying to understand how that structure will function. Like we're trying to establish channels to like have those communities be able to talk to the board. We're trying to gain voting rights for minors on the board of directors. And basically, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing this year. And then afterwards to come, we're going to be using those channels in that structure to help bring representation from all communities to the board of directors. So, yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Now we're going to go over to our ACE program presented by Davida and Stephen.
Hi, y'all. My name is Davida McCauley, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the college program coordinator and have been with PI for just over a year now. I'm also working on my bachelor's degree in psychology at Portland State University. So I oversee the work study program, and I want to highlight our Advocates for Community Engagement, also known as ACE for short. Some of you may know what the ACE program is, but for those of you who do not, I will share. Our Advocates for Community Engagement program is designed to link work study students to the needs of Passion Impact and the community-based learning programs. We do this by creating 2 paths for ACE college students to invest in. Our high school path involves ACE college students who work with the high school program manager, Adriana, high school program assistant, Kaylee, and then the McDaniel and Franklin High School to provide support to high school students working on the classroom workshops, the social justice, the YLC community projects and other things that they highlighted earlier. The college path involves working with the CBL, also known as Community-Based Learning Coordinator and instructors at Portland Community College, to create relationships with outside community partners, often nonprofits in the Portland area. And we do that in order to build out term projects with college students who are taking that specific class with that professor. So they work to create those term projects in which students work with nonprofits and other community members to deepen that relationship with the outer community. Additionally, the college ACEs work to create a database of all the community partners so that it's easily accessible and they have those resources to use by both the high school side and the college side when they're planning those various projects and programs. The ACE program also has a strong emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion for the purpose of being more aware and informed as we have various interactions with students and staffs, as well as community members. As a former ACE myself, I hope to bring my learned experience to the supervisor position and continue to grow the program to create an even bigger impact next year. All right, and let's go to the next slide, please. All right, so here we have our 4 ACEs for the year. We have Desiree, who you've heard earlier, and then we have Allie. Those 2 are working on the high school path. And then on the college side, we have Andrea, and then we have Stephen, who's up next. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Davida. Hello, everyone. My name's Stephen Aguia. I am also a student at Portland Community College, and I'm also part of the same cohort as Desiree, as we just saw on the previous slide there. So my role as an advocate for community engagement at Passion Impact focuses on collaborating with faculty and colleagues to help connect individuals with community-based learning programs that are offered at various levels of education. This year, Passion Impact has partnered with PCC's Human Services Program and work study students who are working towards completing their Associates of Applied Sciences degree, such as myself, are required to gain field experience from organizations in order to graduate. Passion Impact feels that those in the field of human services, social work, communications, and public relations are ideal for this role. So they've established this partnership so students can complete field experiences or their field experience with PI. PI hopes to provide the high school and college students who we serve with high quality support from field experienced students who are dedicated and passionate about the program, while providing a conducive environment for students, and this program helps support and assist us in achieving our program and educational goals. Next slide.
I think that is it. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
I think we're all good there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I think, okay. Thank you so much for that. Sorry, there was just a little mishap, but next up we have Adriana with our DEI committee.
Yes, it is me once again, back. I know you missed me. So I will be talking now about our DEI committee. Thank you. So last year at State of PI, one of the major things that we talked about was how Passion Impact created and passed our first diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. And over this last year, we spent more time reflecting and growing as an organization, and we're able to make some updates and adjustments to our statement to better reflect where we are now as an organization. So back in July of this year, we were able to make the updates, and our board passed these updates in a statement that you're able to actually read on our website, but I'm not going to read out the full statement here today because I do want to take some time to read our anti-racism statement, which is on the next slide. So in addition to updating our DEI statement, another big thing that we worked on as a DEI committee and just an organization was creating an anti-racism statement. So kind of taking a step beyond just a DEI statement, but taking a firm stance in like where we stand, especially with all the things that were going on and continue to go on in our country and around the world around racism in particular. So we took some time as an organization to continue internally reflecting, and we created a really thoughtful statement that I wanted to share out and read with you all right now. So with that being said, our anti-racism statement goes: Passion Impact stands against all hate, prejudice, biased actions, and speech toward any community or systemically marginalized group of people. We condemn the racist actions and the anti-Black policies used against Black people since the beginning of colonization and slavery. We condemn the hate and racism that has fueled a rise in anti-Asian hate incidents across our country and the globe since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. We condemn the racism and colonization that has led to the forced assimilation, seizing of land, and violence experienced by Indigenous communities. We condemn racist and hateful rhetoric and actions that perpetuate the notion that any marginalized community is lesser than or do not belong because of their racial identity. Our organization's vision is that students will become self-affirmed community members who pursue their passions to achieve a healthier world. A healthier world cannot be achieved while racism and prejudice against groups of people still exist. A healthier world cannot be achieved while forced migration continues due to the climate crisis and wars and other violence. A healthier world cannot be achieved while we continue to ignore that we are on stolen land. As an organization, we are dedicated to helping youth throughout their pursuit of a healthier world by prioritizing equity and equitable practices, and by engaging our youth and those connected to our organization in ongoing social justice learning and anti-racist education. So that is our anti-racism statement. You can, if you would like to read it again, see it again, it is also on our website. But that was something that we took a lot of time and thought to work on over this last year in 2021. Next slide. And finally, the last item that I just want to highlight when it comes to our DEI committee is something called a cultural audit. So this is actually an ongoing project that's led by Davida, shout out Davida, which focuses on taking an inward look at Passion Impact to see where we're standing when it comes to different diversity, equity, and inclusion items, instances, actions, and policies. So what it is exactly is it's an audit that is split into two parts. There is a demographic survey, and there's also something called an indicator assessment. And so what happened was we split into two groups where Davida and myself worked on the demographic survey. And then we had a volunteer named Alex Rice and Stefan who worked on the indicator assessment. Both parts, like I said before, kind of looked at the inner makeup of Passion Impact and considered how we could make improvements from where we currently are in regards to DEI, and just looking at who is a part of Passion Impact, what are their identity characteristics, and are we representing the students and communities that we say we are, that we want to, and that we're engaging them in an authentic way. And so from this audit, we were able to pull out information that was used to kind of influence and to help determine our strategic plan. And we were also able to pull out these indicators, which the ones on the screen are one of many there, but these ones in particular are the ones that we use during our strategic planning, which you'll hear about in a little bit. But if you would like to see the data and all the information from our cultural audit and kind of see where we were at the beginning of 2021 and where we're headed, you're welcome to head on over to our website to do that. I also want to give a quick plug that if you're interested in DEI, if you're interested in social justice, and you're interested in Passion Impact, and you want to be a part of our DEI committee, it's open to anyone connected or wanting to be connected to Passion Impact. So if you want to send myself an email, my email is just my name, adriana@passionimpact.org. Or if you're on Slack, you can send me a Slack. We would love to invite all of you to be a part of the DEI committee. And in particular, if you're interested in working on this year's cultural audit, you can do that, and you can jump on by sending me information, whether that is again in an email or on Slack, and you can be a part of our cultural audit team. So with that being said, that is all I have for DEI, but you know how to reach me. Thank you. I'll pass it back to Jennifer.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm actually going to pause share for a bit to refresh the slide because I think there's been a little technical issue. Are you guys still able to see my screen? Okay. In the meantime, if anyone wants to go quickly grab water or anything, feel free to do that. I just need to fix something real quick and then we'll resume. Okay, we're back. I think should be okay now. Thank you, Adriana, for that. Again, this is all of our statements are available on our website, so feel free to reference that if you need. Next, we have our evaluation strategy from one of our PI board members, Pete.
Hey everyone, Pete Pham, board member here. Just a quick touch up on a current program evaluation process that we're currently developing. One of the core missions of Passion Impact is to really recognize and value the importance of our students and our participants' voices. And you can see this pretty much everywhere in PI, from our programs, you see the conversations between our staff and our participants. You can see this in the self-reflections and surveys we ask them to fill out, and they give us an earful. And you can also see this in many of our board functions. I myself was interviewed as a prospective board member by someone here today, by a student. You also saw that students have a really big voice on our board as the student advisory board. So using this as a guiding light, we're really looking to expand the work to improve our programs tailored for our participants and for our students. In the past, PI has always had those conducted surveys and self-reflections to give us some idea of how they feel about the programs, how it went, what could be improved. And we plan to continue this moving into the future. But to be more effective, we're looking to build out a administrative system to collect that information, process it, and then make that available for staff, board members, students, parents, anyone who might ask for it. That information should be available for everyone. This is hopefully to better inform everyone about how we're currently doing, how we can make our programs better, and also to hold us accountable to make sure that we are maintaining those quality programs. Really, our end goal is to lift up our students' voices higher, make their opinions be heard, and then really make our programs to continue to be better. Next slide, please. And this is just super brief, but this is currently our current progress, what that might look like in 1 to 2 to 3 years. So currently we're in year 1 on the tail end of this. This was brought up to the board and proposed sometime in the middle of this year in July. And then we've been working on the pieces ever since. So for the current year, we're looking at continuing what current processes we have in place for program evaluation and tweaking those questions to really ask questions that are critical of how well we're doing in terms of program output. I believe right now we're currently finished with the YLC evaluation program. Evaluation should be out and data should be there soon. And we're currently working on the ACE as well as the VEP program evaluations. But since we're partially done with collecting that information, development of dashboards should begin relatively shortly, very soon. The hope is by the beginning or by the midway of year 2, the dashboards can be released and that information can be used not only to evaluate and refine the programs that are currently in place, but also to help plan new programs, as well as to inform staff of day-to-day activities and how they might be more informed about how they're doing. And then the real goal is by year 3, we have this iterative process that is super flexible, everyone's familiar with, and it can be built upon. And I think that's probably the most important part of this is that we want to make sure our programs continue to provide a quality support service for our students and our participants. We want to make sure that continually grows as our programs grow. So this may seem somewhat structured, but the idea is that this is a continually growing process as we grow in scope and program size. And that's pretty much it. I don't have any exact dates in terms of when dashboards may be released and available for the public to view. But if y'all have any questions, I don't know if now's the time for questions, but you can also just shoot me an email too, and I can probably answer that as well. That's all I have for a program evaluation.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Now we're going to go over to the one and only Stefan, and he's going to be speaking a bit about strategic planning. I'm actually going to switch over my screen sharing to him. So I'm going to stop sharing now. Stefan, if you want to take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. It is really great to be here with you tonight. I first want to just put a little shout out there for Jen and Helen, who've been working so hard behind the scenes to make this happen. So if you have some snaps to give, some chats to give in the comments, like they've been doing so much. I also just want to recognize any alumni who are here and current students. It's really great to have you. I know that you don't have to be here, nor does everybody else, but thank you so much. I'm Stefan Pearls, I'm the executive director. I use he, him, his pronouns. And tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about strategy, where we've been coming from and where we're going. So you heard about the cultural audit. Adriana helped lead that this past year at the VITA, and we came to this ideas of all the stuff that we can do better. Well, that also was around the same time that we were thinking about our next strategic plan. And we thought about the process that we had done previously and how it was not as inclusive as we'd wanted to. It was inclusive, but not as much as we'd wanted. And also that came true in the information that we gleaned from the cultural audit. So we redesigned that process, and that took a few months to do. So one iteration after the next, getting to a point around June where we said, great, this is our process, let's design it. Students, board members, and staff alike all submitted goals. Each of these goals had to tie to the cultural audit initiatives, the mission, vision, values, the specific themes, and I'll show you that in a second. So it had to very much tie into each of these to become a goal. There were 18 goals submitted. We had long discussions and figured out, you know what? Some of these goals can be combined. Some of these goals should be just business as is. And some of these goals we're not ready for until maybe next year. So we've basically came to about 7 goals. And by this point in time, it had taken a while. And we're in August and we're like, well, we should have finished this in July, but it's more important that we do it right. And so now that we have these goals and we are looking at our future, we said, well, what's our capacity to accomplish these goals? And we actually put a goal on pause because we just don't have the capacity for it. And that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'm hoping you're going to be able to see it, of course. Let's make sure. Can everybody see this screen? Cool. First and foremost, just want to give a shout out to Keith, who's been doing some back-end work for about 2 years building this new website. So some snaps and claps to you, Keith. Thank you so much. This is way better than our last website. So if you go over to About Us and Strategic Goals, this is where you can access all of this information. We have 3 themes: quality, capacity, and connection. And under those themes, you'll notice specific areas that we want to address. These initiatives, A1 through A4, B1 through B4, C1 through C4. These are what guided some of these goals, in addition to these DEI initiatives here. So again, connecting all of those dots. The 7 goals that we came up with and combined. Number 1, the Student Advisory Board advocacy goal. This goal, obviously, as you heard from Annabelle, Duncan, and Lisa earlier, getting a voice, making that voice loud and making sure that it's heard and reverberated throughout the organization. Number 2 is publicity goal. Lisa came up with this goal, and this goal is to get the word out. We don't have the capacity for it, which is why it's paused, but that's okay. We know that we can come back to this one. Number 3, connectivity and learning goal. This is very much about making sure that all of our programs are very much in line with our mission, vision, and values, and that they connect with one another. So the ACE program with all of the high school programs. Number 4, the expectation and inclusivity goal. Something that came up in our cultural audit, as you can see down here, is around the orientation of new members, what handbooks look like, grievance policies. And so this year, Davida is going to be heading up that deep dive into restructuring our staff and our student and any other volunteer handbooks. Number 5, the work study capacity goal. This is big because there's a lot of opportunities to engage students, just like you've heard from Desiree and Stephen tonight. Also, we have Andrea in the audience. Well, what, Andrea? And then also Ali, who's in classroom workshops. All of these students, part of that pipeline, as well as other opportunities that we can engage students at these schools for a work study position, meaning they get paid to do the work. 6 is program improvement goal. This is what Pete just talked about, making sure that the programs are not just improving, but we're holding ourselves accountable to them and can see this, not in just a way to put our feet to the fire, but really to make sure that we're doing what we want to do and what the students want to do. Very, very important in our next year and 2 years as we continue to support these students in our quality, capacity, and connection. Last but not least is the community-focused fundraising goal. This is something that we're currently undergoing right now. There are about 6 days left that our development coordinator position is open. If you know anybody, or if you are a good candidate, feel free to apply. From here, we will look to bringing on this person in early January. And we're really excited about adding someone else to the team that's focused on that revenue generation to support the programs. So with that being said, I invite you to check out this page, scroll down and look through each of these goals and understand why they were chosen and what our vision of success is for each of them. With that being said, I think that's my tidbit for strategic goals, Jennifer. So I'm going to stop sharing if I can. I don't know how to do this. Take it away from me. There it is.
All right, let's see. Okay, gonna go back over to our slideshow with strategic planning. So thank you so much for that, Stefan. Next up, we actually have financing with budget. Stefan, are you also presenting on this, or is Krista here today?
I will present, you can hear, I will present again because I'll put my Krista hat on. She's on a vacation right now after a long season of submitting taxes. She is our treasurer, beloved treasurer. So I'll jump into a few things here, and I just want you guys to think about this. All of what you've heard so far from everyone tonight is made possible because we have these students in the very forefront who are pushing this. If we don't have them, there's really not a purpose. Once we have their energy and their direction and understanding what they want to do, we need resources to make that happen. So this isn't free. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Ton Stoffel, if you ever have taken an economics course, that might have come up. So let's jump into that next slide, Jennifer, please. Let's just look at this past year's overall expenses. On the left side here, you'll notice the big green. And if you can see those numbers, $51,000, about 51, was devoted to high school programming. That's 76% of our budget. About almost 8,000 was devoted to admin expenses. Almost 4,000 was devoted to fundraising, and almost 4,000 was devoted to college. As you can tell, high school is a majority of where we invest our monetary resources. That being said, we have some very great strategic partnerships. I'm going to throw out Hannah Cherry. I'm going to throw out Sally Geyer for really making our strong partnerships. Oh, and Rebecca Lewis, PCC's financial aid, for making those relationships so good that we're able to make those positions, those work study jobs, available to students where Passion Impact does not have to pay for them, which is a very big distinction that I want to make clear that not any other university is allowing. So thank you very much, PCC, for that. With that being said, if you look to the right image, you'll notice that over the past 3 years and what we're budgeting for the next year, we are increasing in expenses on a monthly basis. You might not know why, and that's okay. That's why I'm here to tell you we're investing in capacity. If you joined us last year, it was Adriana. Now we have Adriana, Kaylee, and Davida. These people are behind the scenes doing the work that needs to be done to support the students in the programs that are making the impact. And that's where that 15,000 number is coming from. We are increasing that capacity to support these programs. The next slide, please, Jennifer. Let's dive into a little bit of those expenses. If we look at, I just took all of the expenses that were over $1,000 for this year total. Our fiscal year runs from July 1st through June 30th. Consulting expenses, this is DEI consultants. This is making sure that we are trained in these ways as not just a staff, but also a board. We also have some other consulting that we're doing with people in the YLC. We have offered them stipends as well, but the consulting expenses, making sure that we have people coming into those workshops to pay them for the time that they've been providing for the students in those programs. D&O insurance. As a board, we want to make sure that our directors and officers are protected and insulated, so that is required for us. Dues and subscriptions, this is a lot of admin stuff, but GivePulse, if you're a student, you probably know about GivePulse. You put your hours in and your impacts and you write reflections about the experiences that you've done. That's a big piece of that one. Scholarships in the volunteer event program. They have a really cool scholarship at the end. If you've achieved a Catalyst Passion Impactor Award, you get the opportunity to win a $500 scholarship, and there's 2 of those. For stipends, this is part of the YLC program. Each student gets a stipend for being part of that program. Food. I mean, food's pretty great. I think we can all agree. The question at the very beginning, thank you, Jennifer. I'm already thinking about food now. I'm hungry. Food, great to have. We also send out gift cards if we're not coming into the office so that students have some abilities to have that food outside. Professional development, we care very much about this. This is for our staff, this is for our A students, and for our board to keep the gears turning. General liability, got to make sure that our events are protected at the school. That's part of our contract at the school. Office rent, this is something that we've been able to negotiate down because we haven't been able to use it as much, but look forward to starting to use it starting next week, I believe, with a bonding event at the office. Supplies and materials, this is how we pay for all of our office supplies, but mainly all of the supplies for the volunteer events the students are hosting. Postage and printing, advertising for those events, as well as submitting and sending out letters to you as donors and to grants that require printed paper. Services, this is translation services, knowing through the cultural and demographic survey what languages our students and our families speak. We need to make sure that they can read and understand what their students and their kids and how they can engage. Swag, I know the students have talked about getting some sweatshirts this year, so that's in the budget. And then the last two, again, I touched on PCC where they've provided some funding for us in kind. So that is also included in this budget for the wages. With them donating that, it offsets, which is really great. But the rest of those wages are for Adriana, Kaylee, and Davida. And we have to pay taxes on that, which I'm assuming will go to helping our general community. Next slide, please, Jennifer. We are committed to financial transparency, and there is a lot of work that we can do that we really want to do. And so kind of plugging the finance committee, if you are interested in finance and you got a background in it and you want to help out, send me an email. We'd love to get you on board with that, and Krista helping out. But if you go to our website, you can look for our fiscal year 18-19 and 19-20 EZs, 990 EZs that we've submitted to the IRS. We are working on our current one now that we have the IRS has accepted our extension on, so we'll be submitting that within the next couple months. But if there are any questions that you have that you want to know, where does PI use its resources, feel free to reach out. We do want to be incredibly transparent. And with that, thank you. And I'll pass it back to Jennifer.
Oh yeah, who doesn't love taxes? All right, thank you so much, Stefan. Again, we really want to be transparent with our expenses, so you know that your donations are being used as intended. If there are any concerns, we're happy to answer them for you. Next up, we have development led by Dylan. I'm so sorry, I read your last name. Development led by Helen.
Hey guys, I am a board member and I also sit on the development committee. A big thing that I want to talk to you guys about right now is our end of year campaign that we're kicking off officially today, I guess. The website is live, and this year our theme is connections. We're really, as Stefan has mentioned throughout, and you guys have heard throughout, we're really building out the programs. We're hiring more people. And so this year we have a pretty substantial goal of $16,000 that we're hoping to get with this end of year campaign. It is not unreasonable at all. Some of the things that these dollars will go to would be the programs that you've heard about tonight, our ability to hire a development coordinator, like Stefan mentioned earlier, sustaining rent and support for the students, our current staff. These are all, your money is going to be used well. So please consider, after we get off this call, going to the PI website, passionimpact.org, and clicking the donate button. I thought this graphic here is a pretty powerful one. This is a sort of a great breakdown of what kind of impact you can make, where you feel comfortable, and how many people we need to donate $5, $10 in order to get to our $16,000 goal. So as I said, please consider a donation, and I can guarantee those funds will be used well by the organization and the students and the staff and everybody involved. I also want to talk a little bit more about my excitement around hiring a development coordinator. We have been a committee of 3, now 4, I guess, for a couple of years now. And we have some really great ideas, and I have been really excited to be part of the progress, but we feel investing in a development coordinator will push forward these ideas further and actually get a bit more done for the organization than relying on a few volunteers who also have day jobs and things like that and are picking up the development work on the side. So be on the lookout for somebody new coming in. And like Stefan mentioned, the posting is open for 6 more days, I believe. So if you know anybody who is qualified or might be looking for a development position and they have development experience with nonprofits, please send them our way. That's I saw a chat comment actually about the monthly giving program. That is also a program that we've been working on for the last year and a half or so. We're still trying to get more people involved and get more people added to become a monthly donor. So please, that is also an option as you're going through the process of making your donation. You can choose to make it a recurring gift. So if you have the capacity, $5 even can make a difference for the year. So please take that into consideration. If you guys have any questions about development committee or the work that we're doing development wise, please feel free to reach out to us. Thanks.
Thank you, Helen. Yeah. Now, last but not least, we have our board updates. I believe this will be covered by Pete, unless Nina is here tonight.
Only my good friends call me Pete.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I feel close to you. It's great. Hi. Yes, I think Nina is not here today. So you get the 8th best choice, Dave. So glad to see everybody here. I just want to say that as having been a board member with Passion Impact for years that I've lost count, it's just really, really heartening to see how this organization has grown and how its impact has been reflective of the passion that's kind of coursing through the veins of this body of work. So I just want to say that because the board of directors is made up by people volunteering their time and their effort and their energy and their love. Yeah, so kind of talking a little bit about what the board has been up to. I'll try my best to give it the gravitas that it is due, but basically we underwent a lot of kind of introspection over the last couple years to really figure out where is the best and highest use of the talent that Passion Impact is birthing out into the world. And so, particularly this year, we really dove into power dynamic training in February, really trying to take a look at how does the board hold and share power with those that we're looking to create a better future with and for. March through May really dug into that strategic planning process and really taking a look at the formulation of that plan. Setting those goals, kind of chewing on them a little bit, bouncing them back and forth, and really trying our best to incorporate student feedback and other stakeholder feedback. May through September brought that cultural audit, really asking questions of how do we represent, what's represented by us and for us, and really trying to use that equity and representation lens and how we move forward with the organization. And then we dove kind of into the budget through October and really chewed on the numbers and what they tell us about what we do well, what can be improved on, and what are some of the roles and responsibilities that we look to bring on. And then we started talking about the structure of the board a little bit. For years, the board has been what could be called a very active working board, hands in all the nitty gritty, really out there doing a lot of the work. Fortunately for everybody, the planet and Passion Impact specifically, the intrepid staff that have been brought on over the last several years means that the board can start shifting and thinking about how to become more of a governing board. And so we started that line of dialogue recently to really start talking about how does this organization move into, thank you, Annabelle, it's great to hear, move into more of a board of governance to where the activity can be handed off to those that are closer to the work, more capable than a board. And we're really excited to see where that discussion takes us as far as the reformulation of the board. and bringing in that student advisory board voice a lot more and getting students represented at the board level. I really want to put a plug in. I know that there's been a few plugs, 2 giant plugs. One, to join one of our various committees, the development committee, finance committee, DEI committee, and the hiring committee, as we look forward to bringing interns and other staff into the organization. But then obviously the board. If you have talents and passion and skill sets to offer and lend, we'd love to hear from you. I'm going to drop the recruitment link in the old chat here, so you can take a look at it. Really, we want you to familiarize yourself with our DEI statement, our programs. We have board member role descriptions on the website, everything really there for you to kind of like chew on. Is this something that I'd be interested in? You can always hit me up. You can hit me up via Stefan or David K. Lowe at Gmail. I'll type that in there too. Love getting random emails, so pile them on my way. Forward all of your spam to me, and I'll unsubscribe you for you. You're welcome. And of course, donating. I see a lot of traction on that already. I want to say thank you to those who have already committed to give. Spread the word. This organization is growing, and it's serving an important need in inculcating that culture of civic engagement, responsibility, ownership over our country's future. So that's pretty dope. I think we all want our country to have one of those futures that we all talk about so brightly. And that's it. That's all the ramblings that I'm going to subject you to. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Dave. And I apologize for getting the speaker wrong.
It's okay. If that's the worst thing that happens to me, it's going to be a good one. No worries.
So thank you so much again for all of our speakers. A round of applause for everyone. So if you're interested in donating, joining our board, or even just subscribing to our newsletter, that can all be done through our website. So we really encourage you to do that. And also, if you made it this far, congratulations, we have our raffle.